Do you want to become a permanent resident of Canada? Yes, I know. It is difficult for many people to qualify through the Express Entry system. But hear me out, because this may be the key you need to qualify for the permanent residency. So, Express Entry is a program that Canada uses to bring in people as permanent residents. People who are supposed to come in with their expertise, their knowledge, their skills to help boost the economy of Canada. And if you look at Canada as a country, immigration have really helped Canada become the country that it is. So before COVID, the whole Express Entry system was more generalized. If you have enough points, you get it, and then you come in as a permanent resident. But COVID really exposed a lot of flaws in the system. And now IRCC have gotten to acknowledge the fact that, yes, we do need people coming in as permanent residents to bring in all that they can to help the economy develop as much as possible. But there are certain sections of the economy that are, should I say, weak and need much more people than others. So though they are still going on with their generalized draws to bring in anyone who has enough points, they created this category system last year. And basically what this category system does is to give priority or preference to people who have certain skills, people who are in specific industries, so that they don't have to be mixed with everybody else to have to push and get those high points before they can come in. So from somewhere in the middle of last year, they started having a different set of draws targeted at these specific categories. And because these categories were only made up of people with these specific skills, it just happened to be that normally their points or their lowest CRS scores that they need aren't as high as the generalized draws. So the specific sectors that they started working on are healthcare occupations, STEM professions, and when I say STEM, that's people in science, technology, engineering, maths, that is the STEM. And they also started having categories for people in trades occupation, such as like carpenters, plumbers, and contractors, and transport occupations, agriculture, and agri-food occupations. And the one thing, people with strong French proficiency. So, though they have generalized draws, now they also once in a while have specific draws which are only targeted towards these specific categories. And since COVID, the CRS scores have been really, really high. I think for this whole year, it's not gone below 500. This whole year is always been somewhere in the mid 500. So you need to get like 530 plus to have a chance of coming to Canada as a permanent resident through the generalized draws. But here's the catch. Let me check this one out so that I can be more specific. So the last time Canada had a draw for the Express Entry was April 24th, 2024. That's this year. And it was targeted for people with French language proficiency. You know the scores for that? 410. Yes, 410. The last one they had for general was just the day before the French language. That was April 23rd, 2024. They invited 2,095 people, and the score was 529. That means as at April 23rd, 529 people in the Express Entry pool had 529 points and above, because how it works is when they have a draw, they come with a point. Let's say like in this case 529. That means anybody in the pool who have 529 and above, whether you have 530, 529, 600,000, they don't care. Once you have above 529, you get an invitation. And the number of people who got an invitation on that draw was 2,095. But as I mentioned earlier, the day after the 23rd, that's 24th, they also had a separate draw for people with strong French language proficiency. And in that, they invited 1,400 people. And their score was 410. 410 and 529. There's a huge gap. So this means all the people with the French language proficiency who were invited in this, they were still in the pool on April 23rd, but none of them would have qualified because none of them had 529 points. But the following day, when they had another one for the French proficiency, they got 1,400 people who had at least 410 points, and they all qualified for permanent residency. So imagine yourself having a French proficiency and you have the exam to prove it. As in English, we take IELTS. French, they also have their exam they take, and that is what proves their level of French proficiency. So imagine you had a French proficiency exam in there, and you fell under the French stream, the Francophone stream, and you had, let's say, 420 or 430. It means as at April 24th, if you were in the pool, you would have gotten a permanent residency. Let me not just get stuck with the Francophone. So the last time they had another one, on April 11, 2024, they had another draw for STEM occupations. As I mentioned earlier, STEM is for science, technology, engineering, and math occupations. And that's April 11, 2024. And they issued 4,500 invitations. The score, 491. And I think this 4,500 is the largest group they have invited this whole year. Let me just confirm. I don't like to just state things. Yes, this 4,500 from STEM is the largest group they've invited this year, apart from February 1, when they invited 7,000 people with a score of 365. Guess the stream? French language proficiency. They also had one for healthcare occupations on February 14, and the score was 422. They also had one for agriculture and agri-food occupations on December 21, 2023, end of last year, just before Christmas. Agriculture and agri-food occupations. The score, 386. And they only invited 400 people. They also had one in December 20th, 2023 for transport occupations. And they invited 670 people. And the score, 435. So what am I driving at? Yes, it is difficult to get enough points for the permanent residency of Canada through the Express Entry stream. But if you fall within these streams, as I've just mentioned, these numbers, these statistics I mentioned are straight from IRCC website, not my website, from IRCC platform, which is available to everybody who cares to know. So you can go and check it out yourself. And let me mention the streams again in case you weren't listening before. They are healthcare occupations, STEM professions, STEM as in science, technology, engineering, and math occupations. Trades occupations such as carpenters, plumbers, contractors. I've been talking a lot about trades, though many people don't really like to focus on that. They also have this transport occupations, agriculture and agri-food occupations, and people with strong French proficiency. If I were you and I didn't have any of these, well, I think one way of getting it is just going to learn French, making sure I ace it. I know it's not it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, and probably going to take some years. So maybe it may not be worth it, like considering the number of years you have to use to learn the language. But if you already have French proficiency, if you already a francophone, if you already know that yes, French is your language, and you can prove it by taking the exam and getting good enough scores, you can be in to qualify for permanent residency of Canada. Even though with your Anglophone, you may not qualify. So as usual, I give you the information. It's up to you to decide what to do with it. But this is some good stuff. Have a nice day, guys.